Power Rankings business, and we've got some great
Oh,
questions
yeah.
submitted via the folks at Twitter. Let's take a look at what we have for Week 11. Steelers, by virtue of their blowout victory over the Bengals, hold on to number 1. Chiefs didn't play, so they aren't moving. And you know, this was the first tough one for me, Chris, because the Saints don't have Drew Brees, at least for a week, maybe longer. But when everyone who was behind the Saints loses, I can't move the Saints down. They won by 17, right? Was it 17 or so? What was the final score?
27-10.
Yeah. I can't fault them for that, even though they're not going to have Drew Brees for a few weeks. They got to stay at number 3.
No, I understand that. You know, I do. And, of course, I think you can take into last year account, you know, into what happened there to go, wait, no, they can manage and still be really good without Drew Brees. I mean, last year they went up and beat Seattle in Seattle with Teddy Bridgewater. And not to say it was every bit as good as the New Orleans Saints with Drew Brees, but it was good. It was good enough. They're still a really good football team. And they still look at them in a lot of ways, even though it wasn't their best game last week, to where, yeah, I understand it, Mike. I do. So I'm perfectly cool with you having them at 3. Any thought at all after the discussion we had last week, or was that Steelers game just so impressive that you were like, no, they're number 1, they're 9-0, I'm not even thinking about it? Was there anything there with the Chiefs at all at 1? No?
How could you move the Chiefs to number 1 if they didn't play?
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
And if the team in front of them didn't lose, I'm feeling better. I remember you tried a couple of weeks ago to get me to have misgivings about should the Chiefs be number 1. Look, if they play, I don't know if they played right now. Yeah, the Chiefs would be favored by 6.5 points, maybe 5.5. Neutral site. Chiefs, I don't know. What would they be favored by?
I don't know.
4.5, 5.5? I don't know.
I was going to say 3.5, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But I still think the Steelers would have a good chance to win because that's just what they do.
Right.
That's the thing. Whatever the opponent, they just keep winning. And 8 nights from now on Thanksgiving night on NBC, if they beat the Ravens, the division's over. The question is, can they thereafter run the table and get to 16-0? So I feel stronger, not weaker, about the placement of Steelers at number 1. And I think as the last undefeated team, the deeper and deeper you go into the season, the more and more you earn that number 1 spot.
Yeah.
The idea that this isn't college where you've got some fluky team from the MAC or from Conference USA that's undefeated and is number 5, and there's teams ahead of them with 2 losses, because you've got fundamental differences between the qualities of the programs. If you're undefeated at the NFL level after 10 weeks and there's no one else who is, you got to be the number 1. You just have to be the number 1 team. I don't care who it is. You've got to be the number 1 team if you've made it this far without losing. There's a question from Mini Smitty. At what point does Big Ben enter the MVP discussion? Can't believe a 9-0 quarterback isn't even being mentioned as a candidate. PointsBet has been tied for 5th at plus 2,500.
Yeah.
Look, he's not dominant. He's not having a huge, oh my God, look at what he's doing, look at his numbers, look at it. He's not having the kind of season that would thrust him into that conversation, even though the team is undefeated.
Yeah, well, it's the way he's doing it, too. I mean, you can look at his numbers and be a little fooled and go, well, he's got 22 touchdowns and 4 interceptions and things like that. But we know that in some of those games, like you're saying, it wasn't dominant. You know, it was kind of ugly in some of those games for 2.5 quarters, and then, it comes along, and, hey, let's not forget, they have a very talented wide receiver core, and he's got the luxury of the best defense in football, arguably. So I think with all those things, I think he's right where he should be in the discussion. Not in the main discussion, but just hanging on the outside. To me, that's where he is. There's a difference to me in 22-4 from the way Big Ben is playing as compared to the 25-1 from Mahomes or the 26-3 for Rodgers. The game is predicated on them for those two guys. The team's success, it's all about, hey, we're coming out with Rodgers and Mahomes, and we got to do this, and this helps our team. In Pittsburgh, it's more like, hey, offense, we'll take it slow. Defense is really good. You know, they're not going to get off to it. We'll kind of figure it out, and we'll manage the game. And once we get a feel, we'll open it up a little bit. And Big Ben will hit a few plays here and there. So to me, there's a difference in that, between what Mahomes, Rodgers, and Russell Wilson are being asked to do, which is, for lack of a better way to say it, carry the team on their shoulders a little bit more than Big Ben just being an important piece in a big puzzle.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
If the Steelers do go 16-0,
No.
don't they have to have an MVP candidate?
Well, that's where you saw my podcast clip. That's where it's like, we're allowed to, somebody on the defense is allowed to be an MVP in football, but you're right. It's really,
it's only happened twice.
I know. It's kind of sad. I don't know any way to say it. It's sad to think that, like.
Sad with an exclamation point, sad? That kind of sad?
Yeah. Yeah. What other kind of sad is there? I don't know.
I don't know. There's sad with a period.
Well, just to think like Ray Lewis and some of those years and Ed Reed and Troy Polamalu and those other guys, they couldn't get an NFL defense MVP. That to me, I played Polamalu and James Harrison in some of those years where they were NFL defensive MVP. Damn, they were as good as anybody I played all year. I don't care what quarterback it was, anything. They were amazing. And, I'm sick of that. The Heisman and the NFL MVP is all about quarterback on the best team, and screw all of you. The rest of you aren't important, and I just get sick of that.
Well, I don't know that that's what the message is. The bottom line, though, when it's time to hand out these top awards, it's going to go to somebody who has their hands on the football on a regular basis, unless it's a year where, for whatever reason, there's no dominant offensive performance. And, look, I don't know who the defensive player is from this. That's the other problem.
Yeah,
it's not like they have one guy.
Right.
It's like every week it's someone else. It goes from Cam Hayward to T.J. Watt to Bud Dupree, right, to Minka Fitzpatrick.
I know.
Yeah. So it's going to be very strange, and I'm kind of now rooting for it, for the Steelers to go 16-0, just because. And see, the problem is they don't unveil the MVP until the night before the Super Bowl, so it's not like it's going to provide much motivation for the Steelers at that point. But the idea that they could go 16-0 and Ben would not be an MVP candidate, a serious MVP candidate, is stunning.
Yeah.
Because I think if you go 16-0, the guy who's the leader of the team would have to get some. Those numbers, that plus, maybe here's my point. The plus 2,500, maybe you want to lock into those odds while you can. Because as they keep winning, maybe those odds are going to come down. Can we put that up again?
They are going to go down.
And the one point that we haven't made here, Patrick Mahomes has passed Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson had been the odds-on favorite all year long.
Right.
Mahomes, according to PointsBet, now ahead of Wilson. It's Mahomes plus 180, Wilson plus 225. There's Aaron Rodgers at plus 300.
Why isn't he above Russell Wilson? That's what I would ask right now.
The gap is getting narrower and narrower.
Right.
And then there's my guy Red. You've got your boy Blue, who's at plus 2,500. My guy Red is at plus 700. And
that to me is another one that should be a little higher. Kyler Murray with what he's doing and everything there. Again, we'll see. We'll evaluate as we go. But again, we're going 4,000 yards, 1,000-yard rusher, and by far the leader of the team and the guy that makes that thing go in Arizona. That's one where, I think he should be more up in the mix. And I don't understand how Aaron Rodgers isn't ahead of Russell Wilson with that. I don't.
A couple of facts about the Steelers before we move on. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say I just don't get that. You can look at Aaron Rodgers and just go, hey, their running game's not special this year. He doesn't have the weapons that Russell Wilson has. They depend on him to win games almost every bit as amount as Russell Wilson. Maybe not the same way in which they do it anymore, but that to me is where, I think right now after these last 2 weeks, I would go Mahomes 1 just by a smidgen over Rodgers, who's just leading Russell Wilson, as of what we've seen in the last few weeks.
And Kyler Murray, I think, should be at the same level right now
right.
as Russell Wilson.
Right.
Yeah. Couple of stats that are relevant to Big Ben's candidacy. First, the Steelers are the 12th team in league history to score 24 or more points in each of their first 9 games of the season. And he's the quarterback. He's the guy in charge of the unit that's scoring those points. And another stat that actually boosts Roethlisberger, the Steelers are the first team since at least 1940 to win 3 straight games without rushing for 50 yards in any of those games.
Yeah.
So they're generating points. They're generating offense with Ben Roethlisberger, and I think at some point he needs to rise up higher.
He does. Also, let's not forget the points. The defense set some of those up too. Just, but
I understand.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
A question about the Saints from Matt Forrest 1. Is there a significant difference in your mind on where the Saints rank based on who is playing quarterback? And I guess that would be Breeze or Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill. we still don't know whether it's going to be Winston or Hill this weekend against the Falcons.
Yeah, I mean, I view the Saints as being stronger with Drew Brees as not with him, but I don't know if it's enough that I would knock them below the Packers or anything like that. I still have faith. I do. Hey, look, I watched Jameis Winston yesterday on film. It looked really good. He had one dicey throw down the middle. One. But for the position he was put in, man, he looks different. You know, you could tell they've been on him technique-wise. You can tell he really knows and been taught about what to look at, make the decision, and fire it. You know, so I'm really interested to see what the Saints will do, because that would have gave me confidence in Jameis being able to run the offense and doing that. You know, if you made me bet, Mike, I'm going to say is Jameis is a starter, and unlike last year, we're going to see Taysom Hill infused more in his type of plays, where last year he was relegated to truly a backup quarterback spot behind Bridgewater. But that's going to be my guess here as of Wednesday.
Another interesting decision came from the Green Bay Packers, who actually moved up 4 spots despite barely beating the Jaguars. Brandon Feely, 97. Packers are blowing hot and cold right now and just sneaked past the Jaguars. That's hardly worth +4. What do I know, though? I'm a UK fan. Okay, Brandon Feely, it's a fair question, but can we pull the graphic up? You have to look at everyone who was in front of them. Everyone in front of them lost. So what do you do? What do you do if the Ravens and the Bills lose, and the Seahawks lose, and the Titans lose? What do? You got to move. You got to move the Packers up.
Yeah, you do. I mean, I don't think that's crazy that you did that. Also, within that, you know, we got to remember, like, no Jair Alexander out there, no Kevin King, so they weren't exactly at like their tip-top perfect type of thing there. But that's just where I was going to ask you, Mike. Next, you got the Packers at 4. All right. I don't know. Again, and I know the Ravens didn't look good. I just don't know if I could put the Packers, Dolphins, and Cardinals in front of the Ravens quite yet. That would be my first question. In fact,
lost 2 of the last 3 games.
I know, but they were to really good teams. You know, I mean,
they could have lost to the Colts too.
I know,
the Colts
but
are good,
you know, they didn't. You know, that's why I'm just on my first challenge to you would be, I think I would probably have the Ravens and Bucks up there, either in front of the Packers or just behind them, but either way, in front of the Dolphins and Cardinals. That's where, at least how I feel right now. I understand what you're doing there, but that's just my thought.
Hey, I can't erase that memory of the Buccaneers.
I know you
38-3 loss that
tough.
quickly.
Right.
They win Monday night in a spot where they've struggled all year, playing under the lights. They beat the Rams Monday night. I'll feel differently about it because the Rams are doing fairly well for themselves. I've got the Dolphins at number 5.
I know.
Bills at number 8.
It's
and
weird
that defies yeah. PointsBet has the Bills at -334 to win the division. That means you got to bet 334 to win 100. Dolphins at +300, bet 100, win 300. So the clear favorite continues to be Buffalo. But I feel like right now Miami's the best team in the division.
They're more complete of a football team. You know, Buffalo is more, it's like we talked about with Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers or Mahomes. It's a little bit more predicated on one guy. They attack through the passing game and the offense. That's what they do. That is the greatest thing they have, and they really don't have another great thing on their football team. You know, so I hear you with the Miami thing. Miami, the defense is special. It's a special defense. The scheme, the personnel, he's got everything down there, Brian Flores. And we're seeing they don't need to like necessarily throw for 300 yards to win games. They're managing the game. They're playing, running the ball, 2 bootlegs, making a few plays here and there. That's all they need to do. And man, you look at their schedule and you just sit here and just go, I have a hard time thinking they're not going to be sitting here at 9-3 playing the Chiefs in 4 weeks. So I get it. I want to see more from Tua because we've yet to really see him have to, oh, wait, you know, the defense and special teams aren't dominating and bootlegs aren't there. Now you have to play and win a game in the pocket and do that. We've yet to see that. I've seen some good inklings and things like that, but just yet to see it. That's the last piece I'd like to see before I start to go, man, Dolphins are for real. Watch out for them.
NFL coaches like to break their schedules up into quarters. That last quarter of the Dolphins' schedule,
that's tough.
Chiefs, Patriots, at Raiders, at Bills, but they could be 9-3, Chris, as you say, entering that stretch, and it could be 9-7, it could be 13-3, or it could be something in between. Here's a great question from Caesar Furman 15. At the beginning of last season, the talk was Miami was fielding the worst team of all time. Have you ever seen a turnaround like this one? And the first team that jumps out to me is the 1999 Rams. The greatest show-offs on turf. Yeah,
I'm with
they
you.
were 4-12. They were 4-12 in '98. Dick Vermeil was on the hot seat. They go get Trent Green to be their new quarterback because they didn't know what else to do, and there was a lot of hype and a lot of hope. And then Trent Green tears an ACL in preseason, and the job falls to the guy who was bagging groceries at the Piggly Wiggly. I know it wasn't a Piggly Wiggly, but I can't remember what it was, so I'll just say Piggly Wiggly in Kurt Warner, and the rest is history. One of the great single-season performances of all time by a quarterback, by a team. The last time we had a double regular season MVP and Super Bowl MVP, it was Kurt Warner and the Rams. So to me, that's as stunning as it gets.
I would say that's the one that came to my mind right off the bat, because that was as big a turnaround as ever. You know, I can still remember people in the NFL at that time. You know, my dad was covering the league and doing a lot of where they were going, oh, you know, this Rams team's got some young talent. And you were like, oh, they're 4-12. Yeah, they're kind of fun. I get it. But can they really be that good? And then there they were that next year. How about this, though, just to throw one to you, too? Your boy Red, Kyler Murray, you know, man, the Arizona, they had the #1 pick last year. And here we are, they're number 6 in your power rankings. So 5 and 6 have done an unbelievable job and flipping their team over. Pete was the one that just got in my ear to give me that little tidbit, and he's right. I mean, that's right. Arizona's done a damn good job, but it just shows you in the NFL, no matter where you are, if you got the right plan of attack and find the right way to acquire assets, you can really turn your team around in a hurry. And, I mean, it's special, especially what they've done in Miami. To me, that really is a big-time turnaround.
And we've got the Cardinals now at number 6, up 5 spots. At the Derek Quinn asks, why were the Cardinals such a huge jump after winning on a Hail Mary? Well, the key word in that question, the Derek Quinn, is winning. They won, period.
Yeah.
Ultimately, they won. They found a way to win the game. And they played well throughout. It wasn't some fluky pull a rabbit out of the hat. They should have lost. They were outplayed for 59.5 minutes. They were good, right? They fell behind early.
And they were
solid in the second half.
Right.
Yeah. And but for that weird Larry Fitzgerald moment where he's trying to make a catch and the ball pops up accidentally and it gets intercepted by Jordan Poyer, I think it was. You take that away, and I think the Cardinals may have won by 10. They were driving.
I don't disagree. They were totally in control of the game right there. And, yeah, that was a weird play. I mean, that was, you know, we got to blame Kyler Murray on that, too. I mean, he was wide open. I don't know why he threw the ball like that, but you're right. That was a moment where you went, they're about to put them away here or really put them in a tough spot. And you went, oh, man, they're still alive. Here we go. I get you there. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if I would have put them at 6, but I understand it. I get that. I do. Now, I want to ask you about a team just a little outside the top 10, because this is another one that's it's interesting. With all these teams, we got a 7-3 and 6-3. Holy cow. The Raiders at 14. You know, I just want to hear it. I don't think you're crazy to have them where you're 14, but you look at them, they're 6-3. They beat number 2 and number 3 on your list there, right? It's just, you know, how'd you do the juggling between the Colts, the Seahawks, the Titans, the Raiders? How'd you kind of come to that little spot there?
You're suggesting I put a lot more thought into it than I did. I just, you know, so many of the teams fell out of the top 10. I think that was part of the problem.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to drag teams that far down. And, yeah, I mean, the Raiders beat the Broncos, but the Broncos, like, I heard from some Raiders fans who were upset that they didn't get moved up. I don't think winning automatically moves you up. It's not an automatic, you must move up if you win. It's part of a broader configuration of teams rising, teams falling. And, hey, as I said back in week 3, when people were upset that the Raiders weren't higher when they were 2-0, if you go in to New England and beat the Patriots, you'll get moved up. So Sunday night, if you beat the Chiefs when they come to town, you will move up. That's your opportunity to get in the top 10. I guarantee you, If the Raiders beat the Chiefs on Sunday night, they will be in the top 10 when we have this conversation next week.
Yeah, I would hope so. I would think that would officially, because, you can look at the schedule here we got. Even their losses are pretty they're good losses. Let's just say that. I mean, it wasn't against, like, crappy teams where you're like, how do they lose to that team? I don't understand it. They've won the games they're supposed to and more, maybe, with wins like the Saints and all of that. They're handling their business. They're an interesting football team because of that run game and Gruden and those things, and then, a pretty good secondary. They're a team to watch out for. I mean, they could be a team that upsets some people in the AFC playoffs if they do get in. There's no thought there to bump them in front of the Titans or the Seahawks or anything like that because, the Seahawks, of course, the way they've looked the last 2 weeks, too. I just wonder what your thoughts are.
Yeah, but pull up the list. How far down do you penalize these teams based on one game?
2 games.
That's the well, I know, but still, the Seahawks were, where are they on there? There they are at number 12, and the Titans at 13. I don't know. That's already 5 spots for the Seahawks and 6 for the Titans to drop. It's difficult to take them much farther than that because at a certain point I'm inviting 100 emails from people complaining about their favorite team dropping as far as they did. And so, sorry, Raiders. Hey, they're still ahead of the Browns, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, the Browns fans, they had a lackluster win over the Texans
2 weeks ago, so you're right to have them there.
All right.
It's a tough group is what I'm basically saying, though. That's what I was really just getting at. I like your top 10 for sure. I mean, I do. I don't know if I'd have that order. But, man, that Colts, Seahawks, Titans, Raiders little spot right there, it's hard to figure those teams out right now.
And here's the reality for the NFL this year. Even though there will be 14 teams in the playoffs, there possibly will be 16, depending upon whether and to what extent the pandemic gets in the way. But if it is just 14, there's going to be some good teams left out.
The AFC especially.
And remember our concern about going to 14, that those 2 extra teams aren't going to be worthy of it? It's probably not going to be this way every year, but this year, the 2 extra teams are going to be worthy of it. They are going to be a tough challenge potentially for the 2nd seed, and I hope it's divisional matchups in that 2 versus 7 because I think it makes it a tougher game for the 2 seed. But it could be the 15 and the 16. The next 2, number 8 in each conference, is capable of making noise, and they're not going to get in. So, I'm not suggesting we should expand to 16 teams in the postseason. I think the NFL would like to year in and year out, but that's half the league.
It's a rare
I don't know
year.
that half the league deserves to get in on a regular basis. Maybe this year, yes, but not every year.
No, and I think also what's playing into this a little bit is the crappiness of some other teams is leading to better schedules for, other teams to where, I don't know if some of these teams are really 6-3 quality. They've maybe been fortunate to play the NFC East or the 2 crappy teams in the AFC South. And, there is some real crap out there this year in the NFL, for lack of a better way to say it. That's made it, more top-heavy than normal, especially in the AFC. And, I mean, you just sit here now and just go, what? The 6-3 Titans and the 6-3 Cleveland Browns are the 8 and 9 seed right now in the AFC? It's pretty shocking when you look at it.
Can we bring that graphic up one more time of the power rankings? I have one last point that I want to make that even brings into further focus the idea that good teams are going to be left out of the playoff field. Look at the second half of the rankings. Giants 24, Eagles 25, Washington 27, Dallas 30. One of those 4 teams is going to host a playoff game, and they're not even in the top 23 teams. None of them in the top 23 right now in the NFL, Chris.
It's insane. I just wouldn't have, I knew Philly, I just thought they would at least be respectable at this point. They're not even that. I mean, it's truly amazing where they're at in the NFC. It's going to be so silly to see them in a home playoff game against whoever they got to play.
So it's not just 2 of those teams on the left half of the ledger who are going to get bumped out. 3 of them are going to get bumped out.
Yeah.
Because one of those playoff spots is going to go to a team that does not deserve to be in the playoff field. Not just doesn't deserve a home game, doesn't deserve to be in. And back to the point that we made a few weeks ago, I'd love to see the NFL return to 3 divisions, 5, 6, and 5 in each conference. That's what they should do. And they're not going to, but that's what they should do.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.